Starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, guys, I want to welcome you to another KevCAM night class here. Tonight, I've got Mr. Brendan McKenna helping out with any questions or concerns or anything that pops up along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. How's everything going?
Good. Are you surviving from IMTS?
Oh yeah, yeah. Getting back into the swing of things here. So yeah, it was good.
But
definitely good. But yeah, I'll be here to like Kevin said, I'll be here to answer any questions, and also Kevin, I'm sure you're probably going to explain this, but I'll monitor the questions area for you, and if any questions come up, we'll address those then.
Yeah, perfect. So with the go-to webinar, there is a questions panel, or it looks like a little hand to raise. Right there is where you guys can go ahead and write your questions in there. Now, if you guys want, right now, you guys are all in listen-only mode. That's just to eliminate some of the background noise that happens. So definitely type your questions in to Brendan, and if there's something that needs to be addressed instantly, he'll tell me to shut up and we got a question, or he'll answer them himself. So with that, with saying that, we'll get into the night class here. We're going to be covering Hss Express tonight. There's a lot in here. I was actually going to do a full Hss tonight, but since we're going to kind of go through each individual package, I want to kind of break it down. So we'll go over the Express first, and then we'll go over to the full HSS. And to be honest with you guys, I don't know if we can fit a full HSS in an hour long, but once we get to that point, we'll tackle her. But for those of you guys that are new, if you guys have a topic that you want covered, or you want to see a KevCAM night class done on a specific topic, definitely send those over to me in email. And if your topic is chosen for that week, we'll send you some SolidCAM swag, nice SolidCAM hat and t-shirts. So actually, do we have Clarence Wilson in here? Yes, Clarence, you are the winner for last week's. So what I'll do is I'll get that information off to headquarters, and we'll get you some SolidCAM swag headed your way. So and thanks again for the ideas too. So, and those of you guys that don't have my email address, let me put it into the GoToMeeting chat, and everybody should be able to see my email address. So like I said, submit those ideas over to me. If you guys have any questions with software or anything that we covered, and it's after hours, definitely shoot me an email, and we'll get you squared away. One other thing I wanted to do too is I'm going to put the YouTube link into the chat also. So you guys should be able to click on that hyperlink in there, and it's going to bring you right to the SolidCAM University channel, where we have all the previous recordings in there. I also have quick tips and tricks in there. Some are real short, some are a little bit longer, so kind of going over a fixture, minute 40 here. But we got tons of videos in here going over everything inside SolidCAM. So if there is a KevCAM night class that you missed out on, maybe a month ago, when we did the user choice, you can come over here, click on it. But definitely come to the channel, hit the subscribe button so you can get all the latest videos that we put up there. And every night class is recorded for you guys, so it will be on there. And I'm also starting to include parts to go along with it. The one from last week from the 3D milling, I'm still uploading. We're trying to get uploaded to a box so you guys can have that link, so you can have full access to everything in there. So. But with that being said, let's get the ball rolling here. So what we're doing is going to be covering Hss Express. So basically, all of you guys that are in here all have Hss Express. It comes with every package that we have, and it's basically a teaser of what you guys can do with HSS. To give you a good explanation of what HSS does is, it stands for high-speed surfacing, but it's more driven towards a 3D surface. And we have two different packages. You can get HSS or HSM. And the way I like to say it is HSS is just for working on specific areas, where HSM kind of lays a blanket over everything, and we'll get to everything covered up for you. So like I said, we're going to be covering HSS. So you'll just see we have a 2.5D part. I've already programmed everything in here with their vices, fixtures, and all that stuff. And if you guys have questions with the fixturing or anything like that, just let me know, and I can point you towards one of the other videos we did. But what we're actually going to be focusing on is this 3D surface coming around here. Now, granted, if you guys had a radius cutter, we could definitely do this with the radius cutter and just using a profile, but it's an oddball size. So either A, we'd have to get a custom ground one, which is expensive, or B, we can come at it with a 3D milling path. So, but with that being said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an add milling, and what I've done is I've actually limited my license for you guys to see, so down to a 2.5D standard. So I won't be able to show you guys full functionality of HSS. I'm only going to be able to show you guys the functionality that you guys are currently seeing if you guys just have Hss Express. So, so first things first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and basically the first page, don't have to touch anything. Second page is the geometry. What do you want to cut? So we can click on the new piece of paper, and I can just come click on these surfaces as I'm going around. So I got my surfaces that I want. Now, there is a ton of options inside HSS. We have area types. We can do full to avoid exact edges, full start at exact edge or surface edges, limit cuts by 1 or 2 points. Now, if you guys have the full package, you actually will get more options in here. So there's a lot going on here. So you'll see over here in the lower left, my toolpath is actually updating. So if I do, see how it kind of stays away a little bit on there. Now if we go to full start and end, it will actually move right up to the edge. So, but the nice thing is what we've done is when you guys start a new HSS operation, a lot of the options at default are already set up for you guys. So it kind of takes the guesswork out, but it's just coming in here and maybe just fine tuning your toolpath. For those of you guys that work on more 3D parts, you know, more commonly, you know that it all depends on surface, zebra lines of the SolidWorks model, how the model was created. So it does take some finessing a little bit with when you're doing 3D, and it doesn't matter what you're using. So now, if you guys wanted to limit it just to maybe a specific area of that 3D surface, so if we have a really big 3D surface and you just want to focus on a certain area, you guys can actually draw a 2D boundary curve in there to just contain it to that internal boundary. Now, drive surface offset. Kind of showing what it's saying right here. So if we need to offset that surface by, you know, 10 thou and come back with a different cutter, this is where you want to offset that cutter and move it up or down, whatever way that you want to go. All right, so let's get to our tool. I'm going to grab a 1/4 inch ball end mill here. Levels, we really don't have to worry much about in here. You'll notice that for those of you guys that are actually using 4 and 5 axis simultaneous, this is all set up the same way. Just certain things are turned off in here. So HSS is going to have capabilities for the 4 and 5 axis also. So, but since we're just working on a flat part, you can just leave it on plane. Like I said, a lot of times you guys don't even have to touch this screen or the chord screen or the miscellaneous parameters or the machine control. So it kind of narrows it down because I know there's a lot in here, but kind of narrows it down for you guys to just a specific area. So now, Toolpath Parameters. This is where it's kind of like the technology page that I've been telling you guys about, where all the good stuff is. Here's where you can set up your step over. So what I'm going to do is change this step over to 5 thou. Now, when I change my maximum step over, you'll see I'm getting a scallop of, we're at 2 millionths right there. So we're going to have a beautiful mirror finish. Now, if you guys are looking for a certain RA finish, I mean, here's where you can calculate, your RA finish just by the scallop height. And for those of you guys that aren't sure on scallop height, is basically from the top of the cusp down to the bottom of the cusp is your scallop height. So now, and I can make this as tight as I want, or I can make it as open as I want. One thing I like to do is when you guys are just starting out fresh, leave this at 50 thou right here, and just do your save and calculate. That way, what you can do is you can actually get, here, let me just do a save and calculate. I'll actually be able to see my lines. So now if you get into a really complex part and you set your max step over to, maybe 1 thou or maybe 5/10, you're going to spend a lot of time calculating when, let's get the lines looking how we want it first, and then we'll tighten up our step over. So when you do that save and calculate and simulate, you don't waste so much time, doing that calculation. So now the cut tolerance, kind of basically showing, what's kind of going on here. Like I said, a lot of this is already set up as default for you guys, so there's not a lot of stuff that you'd really have to change. But if you wanted to, tighten up the tolerance, loosen up the tolerance, you can kind of see what's going on down here in the bottom picture, kind of smoothing stuff out. And I mean, we're taking this to the extreme here with this picture, so you're not going to see a bunch of mountain ranges in your on your part. Chaining tolerance is basically the chaining. If you're working on a part, basically what on these surfaces, we kind of threw a chain on there. You're not going to see it, but we can actually tighten up that tolerance by here. And I wouldn't go anything smaller than 10 thou. There's really no need to. It's going to take a little bit more time to calculate the tighter you get that. So now in the sorting, a couple different ways. Now, like I said, we are just doing Hss Express, so you're going to have less options here for you guys. So you can do a zigzag or one way, but if you guys had the full version, you'd have spiral. You can change your cut direction, your machine by lanes. There'd be another options down here for you guys. So, so this is, like I said, it's kind of the teaser. It can get the job done, and you might not have the most efficient toolpath, but it will still get the job done with that Express package. So, but let's get some good toolpath on here. So I'm going to go back to my surface quality, and I'm going to set it to 5 thou. Oops, 1 thou, 5 thou. And I'm just going to do save and calculate. So you'll see we're kind of working our way around here, just going back and forth. Now, every time it switches to a new chain, it comes up to my clearance level. Well, you'll see I have a lot of red right here, so we're really kind of wasting a lot of rapid movement in there. So what I can actually do here is come over to my link section now, and your links are going to be all your retract moves. And if I come on the links tab right here, and I'm going to go to links between slices, and I'm going to do the blend spline. Now what that blend spline is going to do is it's basically when it comes from over here, you can follow my mouse around, it's going to do a little loop, staying down, and then go back into the material. Come back over here, stay in the material, or do a little loop, and then come back in the material. So if I just do save and calculate, look how much cleaner that toolpath looks now. We're not wasting all those rapid movements. And now if I go ahead and zoom in here, I got that tool in my way. You'll see that nice spline, blend spline right there. So it's going to be a lot less jerky on your machine. A lot of you guys might just switch this over to direct, and you'll see how we have these nice sharp corners here. Well, you get a little bit of the jerkiness of the machine when it comes there. If we're extending past the part, it really doesn't matter. Excuse me. But, you know, if you want that machine to keep feeding through and just do a nice follow through, definitely switch it over to the blend spline. And like I said, guys, there's a ton of options in here. So I'm going to try to cover these as much as possible, but if I forget something in here, let me know. So your gaps long cuts is basically, you know, if you have multiple different areas, it's going to be the small gaps are going to be set to direct. The large gaps you can also change. And this one, it really doesn't pertain to this part, and I'll get into it on other parts. But you have, well, not very many options here. You can do direct clearance area or incremental clearance area. With the full HSS, you'll get basically all these up here and then some. But maybe you want to do, maybe on your gaps long cuts, you want to do a lead in or lead out. So if we want to do a lead in and lead out, doing an arc, we can do this blend spline right here, use lead in and lead out, hit the little button right here, and it's going to be defaulted to tangential arc. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, let me just make sure I got that, yep, same for lead in. And let's do save and calculate here. And you'll see now we're doing a large lead-in swoop, and then it does the blend spline over. So if you need that lead-in and lead-out for every single cut, this is where you turn your lead-in and lead-out on. Okay, let's get that set back here. All right. So we got a really nice looking toolpath here. Now, if we want, we can do is we can extend, maybe we want to go just a little bit past. So we're going right to the exact edge right now, but maybe we just want to extend it past. So for that, what we want to do is click on our Toolpath Parameters, click on Modify, and Extend Trim. And maybe I want to extend it to 100% of the tool. Or if you guys want, you guys can also put values in there. And we can hit OK. And you'll see that it actually extended our toolpath out. I know it's been a huge question, at least on the support side of things of, let me kind of get this in picture here for you guys, is, you know, how can I extend my surface out? And some of you guys, you can also take that surface and extend it out that way using SolidWorks, but there is the option there for you guys with the HSS just to extend that out. So real nice feature in there to get that. And there's also some, you know, rounding corners in here. And like I was saying before, you know, with full HSS, you're actually going to get a lot more options in here too. So do we have any questions so far on this part? Let's just do a save and calculate, and let's do a simulate to see what it looks like right now. And we'll play it through here. Well, I already see a problem that I don't like. I don't want it starting right in the middle and working its way down to a lighter cut. I want to start on a light cut and work its way up. So what I'm going to do here is just do a pause. Now if I want to switch my cutting direction, we can go to our sorting and just click the little checkbox where it says flip step over. Save and calculate. And now, go to Solid Verify here. And now I'm taking a nice light cut, working myself into the cut there, just going back and forth. And speed it up here. And like I said, I set the tolerance, or the step over, pretty small in here, so we should have a real nice finish in there. So you see a nice surface in there. And I don't have my surface quality or my accuracy set real high right now. So we're only at 5 thou, so that's why we're kind of seeing some of a little bit of deviation, or I can't think of the name of that, the little humps right there right now, but
scallops, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, the scallops right that are going on right there. But if I tighten up my tolerance, those would go away. But you can see we got a real nice finish in here. So it gets the job done. And like I said, it's for this particular part, it's going to work. Hss Express is going to work great. Now, once we get into the more complex parts, we're going to see where Hss Express and Hss Standard, where it has its defaults, and I just want to kind of point those out to you guys so you guys kind of know going into some of these parts, so you can kind of see it, and then what we can do to fix that for you. So.
Yeah, and Kevin, if I can just kind of jump in here real quick, yeah, it's just important to note that the Express version of HSS is really kind of just like Kevin said, it's a little bit of a teaser or somewhat of a kind of a watered down version of the standard Express package. I mean, if you were doing some more complex type surfaces, surfaces that aren't necessarily like a ruled surface like this, more of like a of a complex type surface, that's really where you'd want to use your full HSS for that. But this is kind of a really good example of the Express version of HSS and what it can do. So, there are differences. There are some pretty big differences actually, and again, I think this is a really good example of the Express and what it can really do for you if you are using a standard version of the software. So, but if you want to see more with the full version of HSS, we can always you can always contact us, and we can do a more personalized presentation for you on that.
Absolutely. And make sure you tell them you want the KevCAM special, right, Brendan?
Exactly.
Okay. So we're getting into a little bit more of a complex 3D part. This is one that kind of just drew up here, just kind of an odd shaped for you guys. So that last one, let me just start a new operation here. I kind of forgot to jump over or show you guys this. So when you start up HSS, you're going to actually have, and like I said, it doesn't matter what package you have, you're going to have a minimum of linear and constant Z. Now, like Ben was,
and hey,
yep,
Kevin, before you start that, I just wanted to say this might be a good time to talk about the constant Z, because there was a question that basically just says, can you make it ramp down in Z instead of just stepping down? So maybe this is a good time to talk about that? Or?
Yeah, you bet. We'll actually cover it a little bit on this part right here. So,
perfect. Okay.
So yeah, we have our two different options right here. And like I said, if you have the full version, you'll have a whole slew of options in here. You'll have morph between boundary curves, morph between adjacent surfaces, projection. There's a whole slew of them here. But since we're just working with Express, I want to try to get this part done as best I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it on linear, and I'm going to grab my geometry. So I want to work on that face right there. I want to cut everything on there. Now, grab my tool, and I'm just going to be using a 1/4 inch ball nose end mill. And let's go to the Toolpath Parameters here, and I'm going to set this, we'll just do a 10th finish for right now. And now what I'm going to do here is, let's just do a save and calculate and see what we're looking at. You'll see we're kind of going back and forth this way, going, I don't know, in the X direction. So now what I want to do is, you'll see I got lots of retracts going up and down like that. So let's go ahead and eliminate those right now. So what we'll do is we'll come to our link, and we will set our link to, maybe we'll just do the blend spline again. And this one we will switch to direct. Okay, so it cleaned up our toolpath a little bit now. But now, when I switched it over to direct, you'll see we have some toolpath actually going through the part right now. So we're basically gouging out our part, and we definitely don't want to be doing that. But we also don't want to be wasting the time coming up in Z, moving over, coming back down, getting back into the part. So what we can do to fix that is come over to our Gouge Check here, and turn on our Gouge Check. Now, a lot of different options in your Gouge Check. There is more with the full, but right now we just have retract tool and trim and relink toolpath. But you guys can have multiple different gouges set up. So what I'm going to actually do, and this is, it's not a rule of thumb, it's just something that I like to do, is I like to keep my gouges separate. So what I'm telling it to do right now is to check the gouge against the tool shaft, the tool tip on the drive surface, which is the surface that we're cutting. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my gouge 2, turn that on, and I'm going to uncheck my drive surfaces, and I'm going to do a check surfaces. Basically, check surfaces is telling it to stay, I don't want the tool to touch this area. So if I come in here, let's see, I'm going to pick that inside boundary. So I'm telling it that I don't want it to touch any of that inside cavity area. Hit the green check mark, and let me just kind of get this part so you guys can see it over here. Come on. And let's update our toolpath. And now you'll see it completely avoids touching any of those walls in there, keeping the gouge away. So another nice feature in here, but I'm still not a fan of this toolpath. We have a lot of wasted feed moves going on right here. Normally with full HSS, I would tell it to do a rapid in here, but I don't have that option. So what I'm going to actually do here is I'm going to switch around my toolpath. So if I go to my geometry page and change it to 90 degrees, defined by angle, look how much cleaner that toolpath just looks now. So we're not doing a lot of wasted time going this way, and we're 90 degrees to what we started with here, working our way back and forth. And since we're not doing those up-down movements inside that cavity, avoiding that inside, we're going to have our machine's going to be running a lot smoother also. So, and if we zoom into our links, you'll see we're doing a nice blend in there. And like I said before, if we want, we can, extend those out by coming over to your Toolpath Parameters, click on the Modify, and do your Extend Trim Out. And that will extend it past. But right now, if I go to my tool axis control, it's calculating the toolpath based off of the tool contact point. So what it's set to right now is, since we're doing zigzag, it's going to be automatic. So it might switch from, the tip to the center, back to the tip, to the nose, to the front. But if you guys want, you guys can set that up. Maybe you just want to work off the center only of the cutter and not the outside edge or the front edge. So you guys do have that option there. Now, if you guys want to go a little bit farther one way or the other way, you can also set it up right here. You can kind of see what the picture's showing you guys here of what's going on too. But let's go ahead and take a look at that toolpath here and see what she looks like. So it's like it didn't even see that center cavity being hollowed out. So for those of you guys that might have, back in the day, you might have had to create a filler surface in there, so it didn't see it. Now the option is there to basically completely skip over that, like it wasn't even there at all. So real nice for that feature. So now let's go ahead and cavity out our center. Now, what I want to do is, let me get a straight down shot of this. You'll see that our cavity actually has tapered walls all the way around the outside edge here. And that's where we're going to get over to the constant Z machining. And, picking, your step downs and your scallops and all that stuff. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to do a simple 2D Imachining here. Actually, I already grabbed that, so let me just hit the drop down. There we go. And I'm going to grab that flat end mill, tell it to go to that depth, And let's whiz bang this baby out. Turn on turbo. Oh, and let me put my floor to 0 because I want to bring it right down to the floor. Okay, so we iMachine that cavity out right there. So now we can start working on the tapered walls and the bottom fillet there. So what we're going to do is add another HSS, and we're going to switch it over to our constant Z now. And the constant Z is more set up to do the, I guess, more vertical walls, I guess you could say. It works much better. And you guys will be able to tell, I mean, if we just click on geometry real quick, actually, instead of having to select through it all, I've selected these already for you guys. Just got to find it. There we go. And now, once you pick your tool, if you just do a save and calculate, you'll be able to see the path of where it's going. So I want to be able to go, around in circles, working its way down. So this is the path that I'm looking for. Now, if we had it on linear, kind of more set up to do the flat surfaces, you'll see our toolpath is just not looking what we want. We're not going to get a good finish on there, and it's definitely not set up for this this part. And that's why when we click it onto linear, it kind of shows a more flat surface here, kind of like what we're working on over here, versus constant Z. We're working on a more vertical wall. So, okay, so let's start fine-tuning our toolpath here. So what I'm going to do is come to my Toolpath Parameters, and let's say we want a decent finish, so let's do 10 thou. And all our red moves, so let's try to eliminate those as much as possible. We're not going to get rid of all of them just because we don't have all the options at our fingertips right now. But so I'm going to switch this over to direct, and I'm going to switch this over to the blend spline. And now what I'm going to do is let's save and calculate, see where we're going here. We are violating some areas right here just by looking at the toolpath. I don't even have to solid verify to see that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch it over, turn on my gouge, and we want to turn on the drive surface right here. And now I'm going to turn on the check surfaces, and basically I tell it that I don't want it to touch, any of the other of those surfaces. So I don't want to touch that or that. So I'm telling it I don't want it to touch anything in here, and I don't want it to touch the floor. Now let's go ahead and do a save and calculate here. And now we can see that we're not, let me just do a simulate here. And since we're working on that tapered wall, I did the iMachining out to a certain spot. But you'll see we're taking one heck of a load on that cutter coming down. We actually have the little islands hanging up there. So what I'm going to do here, once it's finished up, all right. So obviously that's way too much of a cut, especially if we're cutting, anything other than foam or wood. So what I want to do is now come over to my multi-passes. So under, let's see, roughing and more, you have the multi-passes. You can see here's some of the options that you guys would have if you guys had the full version, and it would actually be doing the depth cuts right here. So, but we can get by using the multi-pass. And multi-pass is, setting up basically kind of what it says, multiple passes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it to take 2 passes, and I'm going to set the spacing by 0.1. Hit OK. Now let's go ahead and do a simulate here. And we do get some, retracts in there, but like I said, with Express, I can't can't get it out. So go to a solid verify here. And what it's doing now is it's doing the roughing and kind of the finishing all in one. I'd rather do the roughing, go down, and then come back and start finishing. So easy enough, I can just come into my multi-passes here and sort by, and instead of doing slices, I'm going to do sort by passes. So basically what it's going to do now is it's going to rough it out. It's going to do the roughing pass first, keeping away basically that 100th thou, and then it's going to step over that 100th thou that I told it to do, and start moving in the material. Now we're still taking a pretty healthy cut here, so maybe I want to extend it out 6 passes, or obviously come in there with a rougher. In HSS there is some roughing options in there, but since we're working with Express here, we don't have a lot of options. So this is another way of just kind of getting around it just to get the job done, I guess you could say. And like I said, definitely not the most proficient, but we'll get it to work.
Yeah, and Kevin, that's actually another really good point is, you can really see kind of the stark difference really between HSS Express and the full version of HSS. There are a lot more automation tools as well with the full version of HSS, and you can pretty much see that here as Kevin's going through those toolpaths. There's some kind of some extra steps that you have to go through with Express.
Yep.
And yeah, so it's just kind of it's worthy to just note that between the two systems.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm not trying to short sell Express here, but it is going to take a little bit more of programming time on your guys' part. It's probably going to take a little bit more cycle time. And that's why we kind of we give you a little teaser of what you're missing out on, what the if the grass is greener on the other side kind of situation. So, but do we have any questions on this part right here? Clarence, did that kind of answer your question with the constant Z machining?
Yeah, I think that definitely did speak to that question, Kevin, for sure.
Okay, perfect. Do we have any other questions so far on this part here? There's so much in here. I know I'm kind of grazing over some of it. Maybe I should just kind of go through and tell you what every little option does. So I kind of went over this page right here, keep it to a boundary, full and avoid exact cuts. Tool is pretty standard. Tool page is going to look the same in any operation. So, you describe your tool, you have your feed rates, coolant, all that stuff. Levels, a page that you're not going to touch a lot with HSS, unless you start getting into 4 and 5 axis here. Excuse me, but you do have your retract distance, you do have your safety distance here, exit safety distance. In the advanced tab, you can do arc lifts up to the clearance level, you can do retract distance, all that stuff. So there's a lot here. Now in the toolpath parameters, if you guys want, you guys can actually turn off the advanced. It's just gonna show you just the standard stuff in there. For the nerd I am, I like to see every little option in there. So surface quality, how tight a tolerance we want to go there. Your maximum step over or your scallop height set right there. Sorting, basically, do you want your tool to go one way, zigzag, spiral? Just what do you want to do with the toolpath? Your cut order, all that stuff. Shoot, I can't even show you all the cut orders here. Same thing with machine by lanes. Now, with full HSS, if you guys have broken up pieces, so let's say you have a surface over here and a surface over here, instead of going back and forth across this huge gap right here, what you can do is set by machine. Instead of doing lanes, if you guys have full HSS, you can do regions, and so it will just stay to the specific region. Flipping the direction of your cutting direction, I guess you could say. So if we want to start from the top going down to the bottom, or if you want to start from the bottom going up to the top, this is where you want to change the direction. So now, start point, maybe you want a specific area where you want it to start. This is where you can specify that. Now, if we go to tool axis control, you can do actual shift for each contour, for all cuts. You know, kind of switching these up here, you can kind of see what's going on, you know, adding or taking away from each one here by doing a plus or minus in there. Kind of offsetting the tool, almost like a surface offset. So that's one way to do it. Now, I kind of went through the contacts, so maybe you guys just want to use the center of the cutter and the center only, so the toolpath will be calculated off that. Or maybe you just want to stay on the radius of that ball end mill or the bull nose end mill. Now, obviously, if you guys are using a flat end mill, it's going to be set to the center anyways. Or you can actually set it on front with the flat too. But, you know, maybe you just want to work on the front flat area on the bull end mill. Or you can actually set up to where, you know, what side of the cutter, what shift you want on there, and to specify a specific area. Now with HSS, HSS is the only software that you can actually do undercuts on a 3D surface. So you can't actually do undercuts with HSM. HSS is the only one. If we had an undercut here and you guys wanted to use like a lollipop cutter or a T-slot cutter with a full radius all the way around, HSS is the only one that will adapt for that. So now the links area, a lot in here. You can do, you know, your first initial entry coming in. So basically coming in right here, you can actually have a lead in and lead out. Same thing with exit. Now for each tool path, you can also set lead in and lead outs for each time it's kind of coming out of the material and coming back into the material, which is set up right here. And to clean up those passes, you know, you can do, you know, direct, clearance, incremental, and like I said, with full, you a lot of options here. And you can also set up, you know, your percentage of the tool. So maybe you want to kind of keep everything as much as possible in a, you know, your gaps along cuts, maybe you want to keep it at, you know, 100%, and down here down to 200%. Definitely you can play with these values and you'll actually clean up your toolpath a little bit better here. So, and like I said, you have lead in, lead outs for each one of those. So if you're doing a small move, you can actually have a lead in, but if you have a large move, you can turn off the lead in and lead out. Now with the default lead in, lead out, you can switch it up to right here. A lot of times you guys aren't going to touch this page because you can switch your lead in, lead outs under your link, but this is just kind of the default area. The gouge check, lots going on in here. You guys can set it up to maybe you want to gouge against your holder. You want to do gouge check against your arbor. It's full crash detection, so it's not going to, if you have a, let's take this to the extreme here, and this taper is a really sharp taper, but as that cutter gets down to the bottom, we're worrying about you know, hitting the tool holder or whatnot, and it's actually going to move that cutter away to adapt for that tool holder if it's turned on. And you have a lot of different options on your tool axis control here. So basically, you know, when it hits a gouge, where do you want it to go? So I told it just to stay along the tool axis. Maybe you want it to shoot straight up in Z. So a lot of different options here. Or what you can do is do a trim and relink, and you'll see it kind of just, it stops it and then it relinks the tool path. So like I said, there's so many options in here for you guys to really fine tune those 3D surfaces. And you can add up to 4 gouges in here. So like I said, I like to do my, you know, my drive for my first gouge right here, and I like to do my check for my second. You can do them all in one, but I like to separate them out so you know, it gives it kind of night and day. So maybe when I'm doing my check surface, I want to do the retract tool, but against my drive, I want to keep trim and relink my toolpath. So that's different ways of just using it there. Clearance data. Yep, go ahead.
Oops. Okay, sorry, Kevin. I just wanted to let you know there was a question here that said, would 3D iMachining be the best way to prep the surfaces before using HSS? And I know you're right. Yeah, I know you're right in the middle of this, but maybe you know, kind of, you might want to address that when you're
Yeah, absolutely. 3D iMachining is the premier way of getting roughing out this part right here, getting rid of all this material, even the taper down in there. With 3D iMachining, it's going to leave really nice scallop heights for you guys to come back with HSS to finish it. I'm just kind of showing you guys what you guys can actually do. If you guys don't have the 3D iMachining or you don't have HSM, you guys can get the job done. So like I said, it's not going to be the most efficient roughing it out, but we are taking multiple passes down in here. But, you know, I think William came up with the question, you know, is 3D the ideal way to prep for this? And absolutely. Without a doubt in my mind, it's the best way to do it. So just trying to get the job done, because if you'll look right here, if I come to my operations, I don't have 3D iMachining. I can't turn it on because I've limited my license so you guys can kind of see what Hss Express would look like. So
yeah, and you know, and Kevin, that's a great, you know, I'm really glad you did that, because, you know, this is a real representation of what somebody with you know, Hss Express would get, or what they would see in their menu structure. So yeah, you know, I appreciate you walking through, you know, each and every one of those, because, you know, again, it really just contrasts the difference between the two packages.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So do we have any other questions on this particular part at all?
I think that was the only one we had so far, Kevin.
Perfect. Okay, so let's get on to a little bit even, I guess really say more complex part, but let's see, let's do SolidCAM and go to my recent parts. The good old goggles. Now, the question that just got brought up with the 3D iMachining. Let me see if I can just find it real quick. We actually did a movie, or a quick little clip on here, roughing out these goggles. Let's go under the iMachining and cutting videos. There it is. So the question, and the last question is, you know, it's for 3D iMachine. Let me just kind of breeze through this part here. This is basically 1018 material here, and hopefully it's playing through pretty smooth for you guys, but basically just kind of roughing this out. And, you know, it was basically, all we had to do is just tell it what tool we wanted to use, and it roughed it out. So you'll see we have nice, even, you know, cusp heights all the way around here, and, you know, roughing it out till the finest. And then this is a perfect example. You come back with your HSS and finish this off. So I just kind of want to show that to you guys real quick here. I guess the goggles are a little bit different. These are like the old nerdy glasses you had to wear in science class, in the lab class, right, Brennan? All right, so we'll do HSS here. And what we're going to do is we're going to do constant Z first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on the more vertical walls here, doing these. And you'll notice if I do a straight down shot, you'll actually see it's actually tapered out. So another great spot to use that constant Z. Now, for you guys that don't know, if you guys have multiple geometries and stuff like that, and you want to repick something that was used before, you guys can actually hit the little, instead of hitting the little drop down trying to guess on what it is, if you guys hit the little browse button right here, you can actually just go through and click and see, you know, what you're actually looking for. So it highlights everything in purple, you know, of what's being picked there. So save you a little bit of time in the long run. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab that 3/8 inch ball and mill here. And like I said, I'm going to leave my levels alone. Toolpath Parameters, let's put that at 10 thou. And we'll leave our tool axis control alone here. And let's just see what it looks like. And this is the best way I can explain it to you guys for the guys that don't use HSS on a daily basis, is get your toolpath just laid down. See what you have to deal with first. Then what you can come back do, and you can come up and clean up these areas right here. So let's try to get rid of some of our links here. So what I'm going to do is do my link to directory here. And this one I'm actually going to do a safety distance and rapid. So you'll see it definitely cleaned up a lot of our red lines that were kind of going on there. But, you know, normally if we had full HSS, we'd be able to eliminate all these. And what I would actually do is I would set my toolpath parameters to doing a spiral. So basically just start at the top and just doing a nice corkscrew working its way down to get in a real nice finish. But like I said, we don't have that option. So we're doing it as best as we can here, and we have a pretty full 3D part here by just using the 2.5D standard here. So so that kind of gives a good representation of cleaning up that outside wall there. So now what we want to do is get these, you know, round areas, this uneven flat surface here. So let's just go ahead and exit out of here. And let's go ahead and do another HSS, but this time we're going to do the linear path. So we'll just put back to linear here and grab that surface that I grabbed before. And the face one, there we go. Hit the green checkbox, grab that same cutter, and let's set up our toolpath parameters. How tight, you know, how pretty of a finish are you looking for? All right. So right here, another great example of, you know, we're trying to do a full 3D part with just 2.5D tools. It's not our toolpath. You know, like me and Brendan have been saying, it's not going to be the most proficient, but it's going to get the job done. So you'll see we have a lot of rapid moves here. And I kind of went through earlier to try to clean this up as best I could, but there's really no way of cleaning this up really nice to, you know, eliminate a lot of these rapid moves, just because, you know, we don't have a lot of those options, one in our sorting and two in our link section, because this one I would do follow along surface to eliminate all those rapid moves, but I don't have that option here. But like I said, I mean, if we do a simulate here, it's got to update the path here. And this one hasn't been roughed out, so.
Yeah, Kevin, as that's kind of simulating there, we did have a kind of a comment really just to, that basically says maybe show some of the gouge checking options rather than just kind of talking about it.
Sure.
I don't know how much. I mean, I know we're kind of coming right up to the top of the hour here, so
yeah, you bet.
I'm not sure how much time that would take.
Actually, when I was playing this toolpath through here, I noticed I did have a gouge, which is another great reason to you know, make sure to definitely verify your toolpath in Solid Verify here. I'm just trying to see if it was this one that we had the gouge on. I think it was. So let me just pause this. Let's go over to the Gouge Check, and let me just kind of turn off everything here. And I'm going to turn on my gouge against my drive surfaces. And what I'm going to do is turn my gouge 2 on and do my check surfaces, and the surfaces I don't want it to touch. So I'm going to, let's see, actually go with this guy right. I picked one in the center. I don't see one that I want all the way, so what I'm going to do is just click a new one here. I don't want it to touch any of these surfaces here. I don't want it to come up over the top, and I don't want it to touch anywhere on the inside. Now I'm going a little bit to the extreme here. Normally I wouldn't have to worry about coming in here, but I just kind of give you guys a good example. So basically I'm telling it to only work on the drive surface that I picked. Save and calculate. Now we're not gouging along that part. So you'll see that one, I don't know if you guys have seen in the Solid Verify before, but it was actually doing a straight shot over here. Now with my gouge turned on, it's coming up and over, kind of following that surface right there. And let's take a look at the back. Yep, everything looks good back there. I don't see coming into anything there. So that's, turning on the gouge right there. And let's come over to the other one. Let's turn off that toolpath here. Let's turn on our gouge for our drive. And turn on our gouge 2 for our check surfaces. And basically, I don't want it to touch, well, instead of clicking all these, I know I already picked them. Let's see, that one right there. So I don't want to touch any of those surfaces. And now we are 100% not gouging into our part. Now, if you want, you can also do, stock to leave also right here. So, if you come across a gouge, it's going to leave a little bit of stock, on there, and you can come back with a different style tool path too. So, no, Dwayne just asked a question that, do you have to use 2 gouge checks? No. What I was kind of explaining earlier, Dwayne, if you wouldn't have been late, Dwayne, you could have, no, I'm kidding. I like to break mine up into two different gouges, and the only reason I like to do it in 2 different gouges is, one is for my drive. I can actually set a different strategy down here for my drive versus a different strategy down here for my check surfaces. So that's why I split up in 2, but no, you don't have to. You just get more options when you split your gouges up. So like I said, I can specify the toolpath, just, maybe this one I just want to do a trim and relink for when it comes up to a check surfaces or a surface that I don't want it to touch. So that explain it good for you there, Dwayne? Yeah, okay. Do we have any other questions? Because I don't have any other parts to show. Definitely now's the time to, pipe in and let me know. Anthony, did I kind of cover your gouge question, instead of just saying it, kind of going through it for you, showing how it works?
Yeah, I think, Kevin, that's, yeah, he's asking actually, does it work, will it work for fixtures too? So will it gouge check against fixtures if you have that on there, if you have it in the screen?
Yep. So what you'd want to do for your fixture is just turn on your check surfaces, and until it, if we just do a show right, hang on, let me get rid of my toolpath here. If I do a show right here, I'm telling it not to touch those surfaces, but if I had my Kurt vise in here or whatever vise, I would do a check surface against that too, or maybe it's even a toe clamp that's sitting on over here. It will definitely completely avoid that every way possible. So it will definitely go against anything. Thank you, Cody. It's good having you. But yeah, now for those of you guys that are kind of new too, also next week, let's see. Next week we got to skip class. I got the week off. Actually, I have to go help my brother-in-law farm. But after that, we're actually going to kind of going over some of the. I had a lot of interest in just showing each individual operation. So we'll be kind of covering everything that there is to know about face milling, making it more proficient for you guys. We'll cover everything just in profiling, kind of working our way down the list here. Toolbox cycles, and there's a ton of stuff in there for you guys to check out, and I want to go through that one with you guys. So had a lot of suggestions on kind of going through this, so we're going to kind of, in a couple weeks here, we'll start at the top and just work our way down. So these are going to be our next class lineup. and then we'll get into the full HSS here, and then we'll get into HSM and HSR, and start to get into the 5-axis and machine sim and mill turn and all the stuff that makes me have gray hairs. So, but also we have a great program. So, I was telling you guys that, if you guys are interested in different packages, definitely tell them you want the KevCAM special. We also do the, tell a friend program. Usually you get a $50 Visa gift card, but this time we are, not this time, every time, if you just mention the KevCAM special, you get a $100 Visa gift card. All you have to do is tell your account manager, like Brendan, just give them a name and a phone number, and they sit in a demo, you get a $100 gift card, no questions asked, and then if they end up buying the software, you actually get 20% of that sale too. So real nice service, and real nice to have for you guys. So, and like I said, every recording is uploaded onto YouTube with the parts now, and I'm falling a little bit behind here from last week's on the 3D milling part. I haven't gotten that one up yet, but it will be up there real shortly for you guys. So, and then tonight's video, if you guys want to review it, it will be up there about 1 o'clock in the morning Central Time. And if you guys have any questions, definitely just shoot me an email. I have my phone on me at all times, so I'm never away from my email. So definitely shoot an email over to me, guys. Even next week when I'm sitting in the tractor in the middle of Timbuktu, if you guys have questions, just definitely shoot me an email. So, Brendan, you got anything to add?
That's quite the mental picture there, Kevin. We appreciate that for sure.
Plain Farmer John.
There you go. Well, yeah, I just wanted to let's see. Oh, one quick question. Are the Kurt Weiss models available? I think you can get Kurt Weiss's right from Kurt, or
no, actually, if you guys go to 3D Content Central, let me put the link. Copy that.
Oh, that's right.
And let me put the link into the chat area. Right here, it's a website supported by SolidWorks. Basically, anything that you can think of, you just type in right here and it will come up. So we can just say, if I can type Kurt Weiss. And this is where I get all my models too. Come on. So we have there's a bunch of Kurt Weisses in here for you guys. So if you guys want one with the handle, one without the handle, maybe one without the guts, different jaws. So anything that you guys can think of. I even typed in here, there's a Ford truck. I think it was Ford. They had a full, this is it. They had that's a GT40, but they had a full, here's a Mustang. You can actually get these models and have the full scale model sitting on your SolidWorks. It's all free. It's funny, it says it's an S-Corp, but it looks like a Mustang to me. But so definitely come over to this website, and if you guys are looking for toe clamps, fixture plates, Kurt Weiss's, Chick Weiss's, it's all in here for you guys. So definitely take advantage of that. So Todd, did you get that link that I put in there? Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome.
So, but I think that about wraps it up. Thanks again, guys, for taking the time out of your night to listen to me ramble on. Hopefully I answered a lot of your questions and got you guys more confident with using your Hss Express. But like I said, if you guys run across questions, give us a call on the support line. The number is 866-975-1115 extension 2, or definitely shoot me an email. Good, bad, negative, positive, whatever feedback you have, shoot it over to me. Well, I'm doing my best to improve it, and like I said, this is solely up to you guys for training. So you guys just tell me what you guys want to see, and we'll go on topics for you guys. So
okay, well, sounds good. Again, I echo Kevin's sentiments. Thanks a lot. It's great to see everybody coming out this late to see what we've got to talk about. So we certainly do appreciate it. And like Kevin said, just anything you need, give us a call. We're here to help.
Absolutely, guys. All right, have a wonderful night, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.